Hi, I'm Matt Pierce, host of The Forge, and you're on with a great episode today. We've got our ScreenChamp Awards. We're going to be revealing the great winners. We've got some fantastic judges to help us tell us about what made for good videos and what, maybe didn't work so well. So we've got some other great surprises in store for you, so we're on with The Forge. All right, we want to go through and talk about the ScreenChamp Awards. Before we get into the judging first, let me just say we've got some fantastic prizes for winners. If you look at our page here, you can see all the different prizes they win. All of our nominees, we had 16 in total, are going to get a fantastic moleskin and this awesome sweet set of pens that I actually use every single day in my job. Helps me storyboard and do great things. But we've also got some great prizes you're going to see. We've got some headphones. We've got a wireless microphone set. We've got some pop filters to help your audio get better. All these and more for our category winners, and our Best in Show winners got some sweet things like a Canon T3i Rebel. Woo! It's an awesome camera. Going to help take your screen capture video to the next level with real world video. So, in addition, all of our category winners and our grand prize winner are going to get a gift card from PremiumBeat.com. PremiumBeat.com is one of the places I go when I'm looking for music. They got a fantastic selection of royalty-free music that you can check out. Look for category, mood, things like that, and it is really great. In fact, I just got some for one of our videos that we're going to be putting out on screencastcamp.com blog pretty soon. So, all right. Now, with that said, let's introduce our judges. Let me get our Skype window out of the way here. First of all, I want to introduce Rushton Hurley. Rushton is a lead speaker and trainer for Next Vista for Learning. He's got a whole wide background of things that he's done in education. He was our primary education judge for this round of the ScreenChamp Awards. And we're gracious and so glad that he's here with us. He's also the founder and executive director for Next Vista for Learning, which also houses a free library of videos by and for teachers and students at nextvista.org. So welcome, Rushton. We're glad you're here with us today.
Cool to be here.
So we've also got with us our returning judge, and we're so glad to have him, Steve Garfield. He's a videographer, a video blogger based out of Boston, Massachusetts, and he's one of the first the internet's, which would also make him one of the first of the world internet bloggers. He's also been experimenting with techniques since 2002 and launched his own blog on January 2004. So he's been doing this a long time, and he gets it. He's also the author of Get Seen, Online Video Secrets to Building Your Business, New Rules Social Media Series. So, Steve, welcome. Thank you for returning and helping us out.
Thanks. It's a lot of fun. Glad to be here.
And last of all, we've got Scott Skibell. You might remember Scott was actually a nominee last year on the ScreenChamp Awards. He was also a screencast camper this year, and we had a great time, and he does great things. He's a professional screencaster, and we're glad he can be here. Scott, thanks for joining us.
You bet. Thank you, Matt.
All right, gentlemen. So it's fantastic to have all of you here with us. We've got lots of things, so let's jump in here with the first thing. Let's go right over to our education nominees.
The APR is 15.99%. This means we are being charged 15.99%.
Language of anatomy is based in Latin and Greek. Most of the terms are actually descriptive, even though they can be kind of...
Such a system means finding explicit values for each of the unknowns. In a typical problem,
data thieves and crackers are just some examples. The question is, how can we protect ourselves?
All right, those were our nominees for the education category. So let's start with Rushton. So when you're looking at videos for educators, what kind of things do you look for to make really great video?
Well, I think there's a trio of things. First, for any educational video, you got to have clarity. Whatever it is you're talking about, it needs to be very clear to the viewer. This is our topic. This is what this is what we think is important, connected to this topic. This is how it relates. Clarity is first and foremost. I'd say after that, creativity gets you a long way. So if you can do something a little different than everybody else does, you look at the Khan Academy videos, strong on content, creativity, so right? Shall we say? But nevertheless, that sets a certain kind of bar. And so if people know that they can learn from something like that, and you toss a little something extra in, cool. And then, humor, right? If you're having fun with what you're doing, that makes a big difference. I tell this to teachers all the time. It's not our job to entertain students, but if we're having fun teaching them the things that we're passionate about in front of the classroom, chances are they'll come along for the ride. So I would say those are the big things.
Okay, so let's talk about this. We had 4 nominees, of course, and as you guys look through these, what were the things, like, are there trends or things that you saw that the nominees did that were like, yes, this is good stuff? Steve, let's start with you, especially with your background and working with social media and video blogging for a long time. What do you think?
I think the thing that stood out with these nominees was videos that were entertaining and not a monotone where it's the same thing every time. Like, that really didn't get my vote. And ones that did get my vote, entertaining, I'll give a little hint of my vote, brains. If you're making fun, it was really, the one I voted for was really entertaining. The ones that I didn't vote for kind of lost me a little bit. Like, one of them didn't follow through to the end with, like, the end result. So I watched the whole video and I was following through, and then in the end I didn't get the final point, so they kind of forgot that. So some of my notes were, I kind of got lost in the middle and it wasn't too clear. So the one here that I voted for that won was engaging, a natural voice, and funny. So,
Scott, I'll address this to you and give you a chance to speak here. As people are making videos, and we've heard, I think I heard this from Steve and Rushton, this idea it's a balance between the right content and this entertainment. If you're new to video or you're trying to do this, do you have any key, like, things that you find that help to make that balance work, or do you just got to kind of press your way through it and hope you get lucky?
Well, I think one of the things that I've learned from some of the best orators in the world is that they all speak from the heart. And if we're trying to be something that we're not, I think we're going to come across almost as disingenuous. So even if you're doing a screencast and maybe you're just not perfect or you're not as funny as somebody else, like Matt, you're funny, I'm not as funny. But if you can come across as being sincere, and I think that carries a lot of weight. And you may not connect with everybody, but the great thing about video is you don't have to connect with everybody. You just have to connect with 1 or 2 viewers, and just the scale of the internet can translate that into thousands.
Very good. And the comment about me being funny, I think you meant funny looking, probably, I'm sure. So as you gentlemen, as you guys watched, we had you go through 16 videos. Our judges, prior to narrowing this down, we went through over 153 videos. Did you see any common pitfalls? Things that, especially, and we'll keep focused on these education ones. Things that, I think I heard Steve say not following through to the end, that's something that, ruins video. I guess, what are the other things that you saw just kind of like, that that ruins the video, or that makes it so it's not going to be, at least if we're talking about competition, it's not competitive, or it's not going to be impactful?
Yep, I totally have one. One of the ones that was lower in my voting in this category was a hiss, like a constant hiss in the background. And I mean, when you're entering a video in a competition like this, you can't have the technical problems. So we were talking about what makes a good video. The content is key, is very important. But if I can hear, if there's a hiss going through, or I can hear you keying on your keys, hitting the keyboards and pounding them, gets kind of distracting, and I'm trying to get at your content, but I'm being distracted by these technical problems.
Yeah, so Rushton, as someone that works with a lot of educators, and I'm sure a lot of educators are very fearful, and they probably are more, in some ways, likely to run into some of these problems Steve talks about. For obviously for a contest you want it to be great, but for everyday kind of content, what would your recommendation be in terms of how to help educators get over what Steve just said in terms of those technical kind of distractions?
I think you can get bogged down in technical issues, and that the first order of business is just to make sure you've got a good story to tell. And then as you do that, you begin to build confidence, and then people can start saying, hey, look, here are some technical things that you can do with this, do with that. But to tell the story well, you got to make sure that the viewer is with you. And I would say one of the simple tools that kind of almost all screencasting software, or at least good screencasting software, has, is the ability to focus in on a part of the screen. And sometimes I see people talking about something, and it's this very small part of the screen as the video is being streamed to me, and I was just wishing, couldn't you have done a kind of a zoom in on that piece right there so we could better see it. Now, I would say that is probably one of the pieces of screencasting that is easily overlooked and just gives tons to the power of the video if they go to the trouble of doing it.
Very good. So what I think we're going to do is let's reveal our winner for education, and then we can talk specifically about that particular video. So we got our little envelope. It's not a secret to me because I just made this about an hour ago. Let's open it up though for dramatic effect. If we had a drum roll, we could do that, sound effects. But the winner is, in the EDU category, Valerie Pennington, Anatomical Terms of Direction and Planes of Section. Congratulations, Valerie. So that was actually a unanimous vote by our judges, which is fantastic. So let's talk about Valerie's video, because I watched this and I knew when I saw early on that, wow, this was really good. So I guess kind of quickly going through this, what were the highlights of what made Valerie's the best?
One thing I'd toss in on that is that she really made sure she was being clear about the terms she was using. She would come back to it. She would make sure that those words were on the screen. It made it very easy to follow, and it's clear that she's very comfortable doing what she does. Very cool video.
Hey, Scott?
She had a great intro, natural talking, and she made it fun. So it was really great.
All right, Scott, your turn.
Yeah, I loved having the video of her speaking. When we start talking about screencasts, it's great when we can actually see the person speaking. And video is really all about connection. It's not about perfection. It's about connection. And I could see her eyes, I could see her smile, and I can feel her passion and enthusiasm. And I walked away from that video, and I actually learned something. So that was really cool.
So one thing I noticed with Valerie's video is, in terms of, yes, there's this complexity with she did the green screen, her standing there in front of her slides, but the concept was fairly simple. And do you think that's, is that a positive or a negative when people are doing video? Should they try to be more simple and not try to, do crazy, all sorts of things? Or does it just depend on the video and what your goal is?
Well, I always like to advise people to keep it simple, because that'll make it easier for you to complete your video. Some of the entries in the spreadsheet that we got, they explained what they did, and they recreated the internet with graphics to get their video done instead of actually screen capturing just the software. So I think some of them made it more complicated than it needed to be. So I like to go with keep it simple.
Absolutely. All right. Any final comments, Rushton, on the education category?
Good job from all of the finalists. Each one of them was certainly doing a good job of getting their thoughts across. I think we were unanimous on this one in terms of the winner, though. Strong video, and hopefully it'll be one that people will watch and say, hey, what can we learn from that? When we're doing our own screencasts.
Absolutely, and that's really our goal, is that good or bad, we hope people will take away ideas about what they can do in their screencasts. Before we move on to the next category, I want to point out the shirt that we're wearing. This is our new Forge shirt. If you want to have a chance at winning one for yourself out there, you can email theforge@techsmith.com, and you can join in with our little thing that we've got going on here at TechSmith called I Resolve To ... Send us your New Year's resolution for the next year, for 2013. You can send it in video form, image form, text form. We'll probably even take audio form. So whatever way you want to communicate your New Year's resolution, send it again to theforge@techsmith.com, and you can get a chance to win one of our new shirts, which every one of our category nominees are going to get one of these as part of their prize package. So we want to thank our designer for making really a cool design. So moving on, let's go on and let's see the nominees for our training video right now.
Here are some photographs of my kids. Let's say I want to hide this particular photograph. So I'll tap the image once and then click edit. Now you see a
The store will open up and you'll have access to thousands and thousands of songs, from the latest hits to all-time favorites.
You can see we're still going to take the picture the same way. When someone hits that button in the upper right-hand corner, this take picture method is going to be called.
Better audio equals better video. If you use the built-in mic on your camera or on your laptop.
All right, those are our training nominees. So this is the category we asked Scott to look at primarily. So Scott, we'll start with you. And as we look across these, we talked about education. I think there's, as much as I think there's a lot of things that you can do that are like, how is, when you're trying to train someone different in terms of screencasts than maybe saying trying to entertain or persuade someone to, through marketing purposes?
Well, yeah, I think it starts with instructional design. So do we have a purpose? What is our end goal? And what are we trying to teach them? And I saw in some of the categories here that we definitely had the ability to walk away and learn a new skill. So it is important to be funny, to be entertaining and all that. But if the true objective is to teach somebody to where they learn something new, then we're really looking at how do we structure it? And do we have a purpose? And are we walking them through in a logical, in a methodical manner so they actually walk away with the objective complete? And that is that we taught them something that they didn't know before.
So it seems like in the training, a lot of times, and especially in this category, we'll get folks who are sending stuff that, this is a required thing. I've worked in that environment. You had to go through so many hours of safety training or so many hours of whatever training it might be, for a big organization or what have it, might be. So in terms of that, how do you go about making something that's like a video that's interesting? Obviously, you got to convey the information, but it can also be interesting. And are there limits there that you want to push, maybe? Steve, let's go to you on that one.
Well, this was a good category because a lot of the entries did a good job of teaching and keeping it clear and keeping their points right out there. So, on my notes, some of the good points on some of the videos I have that it was short and clear and well done and clear. Keeps popping up. So if they have the things that they want to teach and they go through those points in a very logical way, those videos are the ones that I liked a lot. Videos where it starts getting a little muddled and you're saying, where are we going here? And especially, again, in this category, there was one video that didn't give me the end, the conclusion. I was waiting to see how the whole thing came to a solution, and they didn't. And I was like, I'm going to have to. I learned how to get all the way up to 75% of this thing, and I'm going to have to learn this last part myself. They could have included that in the screencast, and they didn't, and it was totally obviously missing from that one. So that's why that one didn't get my vote. The one that I did vote for as the winner, it was very good. I felt I learned something, and I felt that. Obviously, I give the hint away a little bit about which one, but I felt I could learn how to program something for an iPhone after watching this guy because he was so clear. And we didn't necessarily have to watch the whole video, but on that one I did. I actually have a programming background, although I've never programmed an iPhone, and I felt, wow, this is a really great series.
So, and I think I face this, especially working with folks who are making tutorial videos a lot, and that's their jobs. We have a lot of debates about length of time. And I think in education, I think Rushton, you probably see that teachers can probably get away with a little bit longer. They've got somewhat of a captive audience, especially K through 12. You have to go to school, you have to do your homework, even though some still don't. Is there a magical length of time for a video, or is it really, really dependent? Because I know, Steve, you said just with the programming one, it was really long, or longer than maybe you needed to watch through all of it, but you still did. So is there a range even?
Well, let me just follow up on that.
Sure.
For voting, like in the voting notes, it was like, if the video is really long, don't feel that you have to watch the whole thing.
Absolutely.
So that's different than if I was watching that programming video to learn how to program. And it was longer than a lot of the other entries, but I did watch the whole thing. So I think that there's really two rules on this length of video. The one is, I see Rushton is going like this. He's going short, keep it short. And that's really important for if you want people to watch your video on YouTube and you want to make it interesting at the very start, so you catch them and then they watch. And I might even look at the slider, and if it's short, I'll give this thing a chance. But if it's 25 minutes, I'm like, well, maybe I won't. But if you're in an educational setting like we were, and someone's teaching me programming and it's a 10-minute video and it's giving me knowledge and I can follow through and learn, I'll also, on the other hand, watch the 25-minute one. So there's space for both.
Yeah, Rushton, anything you want to add to that, what Steve said?
Yeah, I mean, my gut reaction is that the shortest you can make it, that's the right length. On our site, on nextvista.org, we have a 5-minute limit. For whatever it is you're creatively explaining that a kid might encounter in school, 5 minutes tops. And I've had people say, oh, it's impossible. I could never get that in 5 minutes. There's these 3 big things. And it's like, okay, well, make 3 videos, right? So it's easy to break things down, but 3 minutes can be a really long video. I've watched videos that weren't, more than 2.5, 3 minutes, and I've thought, will this never end, right? And I think a lot just comes down to get to your point, do the things you need to do. The longer that video it is, the harder it is to make sure that people are going to walk away from it going, that was great. And especially in a captive audience environment, like kids in school, it becomes very difficult to hold their attention in longer videos.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, why don't we go ahead and reveal who our winner was, and then we can talk about that video specifically. I think we might have some good conversation about that. So our training category winner is Ron Hogue, top 5-ish Screencast tips. So Ron, congratulations. And I know, as Steve indicated, it's not the one that you necessarily voted for. We have a series of checks and balances and weights that are not magically put in place. They're put in place to help us gauge this. So I guess let's hear from you. What was good about Ron's video?
There were a couple of things that jumped out at me. And first of all, he says that he's going to share with us 5 tips. So in a way, he chunked his presentation. And so if we've got a video that's too long, your chunk might be too big. But, his video, he said, I've got 5 tips. And he cut it very fast. So in other words, it's not a slow-moving video at all. He had great audio, and Steve had talked about that in the first batch of videos. We want to make sure that we've got good audio, because that's half of the video, right? But I love the way he chunked it. I love the way he paced it. It was fast. It was entertaining. And you walk away with the objective, I learned something. So I thought it was very good. A worthy winner.
So, Scott, you mentioned audio in that one. I thought that was very entertaining. I really wanted to like that, more than I did, and it was very clear. But my audio when I watched it was out of sync. I don't know if you noticed. The audio was very clear, but it didn't match his mouth. And I said, well, I can't vote that one for the top spot because it wasn't right.
I didn't have the same experience, Steve. So it might have been on my end, or maybe I was watching the video during happy hour. I'm not too sure which. But the
Scott, you're in Kansas City. Are you on the Google Fiber yet?
Entertaining, and I thought that I really did learn something. And it was short and fast, and it kept your interest, which is kind of hard to do when you're doing a training video, an educational video. So I thought it was a very good piece.
So Scott, are you on that Google Fiber yet there in Kansas City, or?
Unfortunately, no.
No, okay. So it's not.
Fingers crossed.
We can't blame your internet then for it must have been happy hour. So
it's happy hour.
All right. Well, let's keep things moving along here. Thank you guys again for Ron. Congratulations. It's interesting. I think the fun part about this is that even internally, as we were trying to narrow it down so you guys didn't have to watch 153 of these things, and trust me, 153 of them is a lot, and we had probably about 15 people going through and trying to, sync up our judging and stuff. And I find that video is subjective. I mean, the things that appeal to me a lot of times were slightly different than other people, and we could debate a lot of the nuances of what was good. And obviously, there's technical things that we want to look for. But so I think this is what makes it interesting, that one person's good video is not necessarily another person's good video, and what we need to do is learn how to make it so you appeal to a wide audience. So appreciate the differentiation in opinions. Let's move on to our next category, sales and marketing. Let's play that nominee video right now.
The dashboard allows program managers to quickly see, at a glance, the status of their program. The workflow is modular, so you can
from Events. It is not merely an upgrade to the existing Events product. Part of the reason we decided not merely to upgrade Events,
save you a lot of work, but also make you a lot of money. In fact, if you have the correct systems in place from the beginning, they'll practically do all
in writing to help them succeed in a higher education. Connect Writing diagnoses weaknesses and then delivers tailored.
All right, thanks to our sales and marketing nominees. And I think this is actually one of my favorite categories because I think sales and marketing tends to try to push things a little bit. You can be, there's some creativity outside the wild card, which was kind of you could do anything. I'm excited about this. So what, again, I guess going down this route of if you're going to differentiate these types of videos and the kind of what they're purpose for you, Steve, what makes for a good sales and marketing video generally?
This category was a very good category. All the videos were very well done. I like them all. And the two things that my winner had that they did was, one, they evoked an emotion. Like I felt something. It really made me feel something. And that's key to really any good video if it evokes an emotion. And then the second thing for a sales video, it actually made me want to go register for what they were selling. And I went off on the web to go find a link to their page and actually do something. So it evoked an emotion, and it had me like want to buy, really.
So I guess and we'll see if you guys can come up with something for this. I'm curious because I think a lot about storytelling and evoking emotion. That's not a natural skill. I think you have to have a skill about how you do that and how you tell your story. Good directors do that a lot. Are there things that, as someone's trying to get into making more video, and whether they're doing education or this side of the house with sales and marketing, what kind of things should people be trying to do to help do that? Because obviously it can come off as cheesy, but what could you do? Let's start with Rushton. We haven't heard from you in a bit. What do you think, especially maybe for an educator trying to do more of this?
Vary your visuals. That was something really strong about this video, I thought. It's not kind of one thing that you keep looking at. There was this from PowerPoint or this from Prezi, and then he's there, and as long as the visuals keep changing, it's fairly easy to keep people on board with whatever it is you want to talk about, whether that's elasticity in economics or hey, buy this, right? And so I really appreciated that in this video that you didn't have a mono visual kind of thing. So I was impressed.
Cool. And Scott, what about you? Evoking emotion. Any tips, tricks, how we do that?
Well, I think one of the things we have to be careful about when we get into some of these sales and marketing videos is that we don't want to necessarily go over the top. We don't want to overproduce it. If it starts to have this 2 a.m. infomercial feel, I think you start ending up with a credibility gap. And so it's very important that you know who your audience is. You understand what their motivators are, what drives them. And so how does, that person elicit that emotional response that Steve felt? And so you really need to know, what those motivators are, what drives them. But let's not do it in a cheesy, over-the-top marketing, infomercial kind of way, because I think it can backfire.
I feel like we should have the ShamWow guy, that's the auto-tune version, queued up and play that right now. That's pretty classic if you haven't seen it. So Steve, I feel like this is kind of your area of expertise. What about you? What do you think? How can videographers or people making screencast videos evoke more emotion? Like, are there things that, I hate to say a formula because, formulas don't usually work for emotion. At least any relationship I've been in. So what do you think? What should we be trying to do, or what should we be learning from?
If you have some bullet points and you're reading through them and trying to sell your product based on the features and benefits, that's one way to do a video, and it's very clear, and you have steps, and here are the 5 features, and here are the 5 benefits, and you can run through your video that way. But how have you really connected with the person on the other end? You really haven't. So a good way to enhance that is to wrap a story around your features and benefits and say, well, I had this need for road service when my car broke down and it was really freezing and it was horrible, and so then I used this iPhone app which allowed me to push a button and they came right away, and it helped me so much. And like, I would take the features and the benefits, identify the problem, and wrap it around this story that actually is personal to me, and I think that can help facts and figures connect with a viewer.
Yeah, so I like that idea, and I hear, especially I think tie that in with something Rushton says, make it a visual story, right? So, well, let's reveal our winner, and then we can talk a little bit about this one again. So our sales and marketing category winner, got to learn how to open an envelope cleaner, I guess, is Nino, and Nino, I apologize for if I slaughter your last name, Paglia, Mantic RealeFlow. So, Nino, congratulations. And this one there was lots of things going on. He mixed things up. There were some, I think of in his video in particular, he used the automotive manufacturing piece in it, and it was very interesting. Any thoughts about Nino's video in particular before we continue on?
Well, I think I said a lot of really great things about it. I did have one question. I don't know if you guys caught it, but they were advertising a webinar, right? And then they said Chicago. And I was thinking, why is it Chicago specific if it's a webinar? Because I could be here in Boston and watch it. That was like one thing that I didn't really get. Other than that, I thought it was really well done.
Very good. Rushton, Scott, any last comments about the sales and marketing?
Oh, I thought the video was very well done, and you could tell, that's not just your typical screencast. There are a lot of video elements in that presentation. So I thought they did a great job. You could tell there was a lot of time spent on that one.
Yeah, we'll save this discussion for some other time, but I'm guessing that, at some point we should probably be talking about what is a screencast anymore because of all these other elements. I mean, we've seen our education winner had green screen and her talking. We see these other pieces come into this one. Ron's video from the training one was a lot of camera video, so that I think the definition is changing there. Before we move on to our next category, I do want to point out, if you haven't noticed, we've got this beautiful sign in here back here that says The Forge. We want to thank Daniel Keith. He's a viewer and a customer, and he sent us this sign out of the goodness of his heart. He made it at home. He's a craftsman. It's a fantastic piece. He actually showed us his very first screencast video, and it shows the CNC router making the sign. So we just want to give a big shout out to him and a big thanks to Daniel, because we'll have to show better pictures, and there'll be some stuff in the blog about it because it is really, really cool. So with that said, thanks again, Daniel. Moving on to our Wildcard category, last of the category winners. Let's show the nomination video right now.
Score higher across all of the basic functionalities and features and so on. But remember what we said in episode 1 is that we're going to be
Each of us will present to you our top 3 things we learned at the conference, and we hope you each find something interesting. So sit back.
Job search. But lately, Scott's getting a bit desperate, applying for every job he can find. Earlier today.
All right. Okay, so this is a fun category, guys. This was all the stuff that we weren't able to say, this is education, this is training, this is definitely sales and marketing. So maybe a little bit harder to talk about, but I think there were some interesting things in here. Maybe we can do a quick summary of what you guys thought of the Wildcard nominees, and we'll start with Steve. We'll go to Rushton and then Scott.
Okay, so there was a clear winner in this one. I mean, it was really no contest with the personal introduction and the effect where you could see in the corner of the screen the narrator. It was just so personal, and the graphics, everything about it was so good. And I have a note here. That seems like a good guy. And I think that is something that would make you feel that it was a good video. From the others, there were a number of things that were terribly wrong with some of these videos, without calling each one out specifically. One, we had the main point introduced 3 minutes into the video, where it should have been like 8 seconds in, not, I was like waiting and waiting and waiting for the main topic, and it was so slow to get there, so that was very frustrating. Another one, very distracting, multiple videos and small text. It did nothing for me, really. And then it's probably clear to see which one is which, but I guess I'll have to say, are people still using Second Life? I can't see how that could be a topical, groundbreaking video using Second Life, although it's an easy way to do animation, I guess.
Yeah, and I just want to say to our nominees out there, you know, the great thing about this is that we get to learn from your mistakes, and hopefully we all become better of it. So I think that's fair commentary, Steve. And I don't know if anyone in Second Life anymore. I forgot about it, actually. So Rushton, what about you? Wildcard winners, what are these nominees? What did you think?
Well, you know, there's a certain amount of letting the imagination run free, because it's like, it's not you know, apples and bananas. It's apples and carburetors, right? You know, that you're trying to compare, you know, when you go through these. So you know, you end up saying, okay, well, you know, what comes across in a way that's helpful. You know, I found, you know, some good things in each one. I think the one that won was well chosen, and I liked seeing a lot of different approaches. You know, I think if people are coming back and taking a look at the different finalists, you know, I think you learn something from the different approaches you see in all of these. But you know, without a doubt, finding videos that you're critical of is important. If you're going to get better at making any kind of video, you have to be able to watch something and go, you know, I don't know that I would do it that way, or I don't know that was effective, and talking that over with others. I think a lot of people, when they make videos, they kind of hide that they're making a video until it's done. No, you know, like, as you make the video, show people what you're doing and get feedback. You know, say, hey, how can I make this better? That's like the question I teach again and again and again. How can I make it better? And, you know, 6 people might give you responses, 5 of them give you their ideas, and you're like, thanks, you know, and you ignore it. And the 6th one gives you an idea that's like, wow, that's perfect, that's going to make this so much better. And that's what you want. You want a lot of good feedback. And so, you know, I think the variety that you get in here was pretty cool.
Absolutely. I like that suggestion. Lots of feedback. I know that's what's made me, when I make videos, that helps me get better. And I know lots of my team that I work with, we thrive on that. So Scott, what do you think?
Well, Matt, I see 2 trends, you know, coming out of these videos now. You know, we've seen some videos that are incorporating animation, and they're using their iPad and some of the creative, artistic applications out there to create their storyboard and to overlay pictures and other videos into that. I love that creativity. There were some great examples in the finalists, you know, this year. And it just gave me a lot of ideas. And that's the beauty of all this, right? Is that we get to learn from everybody, not just from their mistakes, but the creative things that they're doing that we can incorporate into our screencasts to take them to the next level as well. So I really love the creativity and all that. The second thing that I've really noticed, and this has come so far, is really incorporating video. And I said it before, I'll say it again, you know, again, web video isn't about perfection, it's about connection. And the winner here really did connect with his audience. You could see his eyes, you could see his smile, you could feel his passion. And I think that's just so important. And, you know, Rushton, you said it, you know, I watched this video and I said, you know what? He just seems like a nice guy. So I think that's something that all of us should begin to incorporate. And if we're not comfortable in front of the camera, you we can work to develop our own camera persona, and we can get there. I say, again, just keep it genuine and be yourself, and you will connect with an audience, and I think you'll be amazed. So I'm very pleased. I thought the Wildcard examples were great, and all of them were good because I learned something from all of them.
Yeah, I mean, we can. I think in terms of if you look at major motion directors, they sometimes they make these crazy films, and it leads to things that can be great. So maybe there's that artistic phase that hopefully we're learning from. So we're gonna move to the winner here, and the winner is Mel Aclaro, Best Screen Capture Software Series, Episode 3, Camtasia Studio 7. Now, we, just so you know, because it's kind of funny that something about a TechSmith product, we did not choose that because this was all hopefully randomized in terms of the judges. Our pre-judges screening, we really did try to account for that kind of things, and our judges we have no influence over their decisions here. So I just want to make sure everyone realizes I didn't pick this one. This was definitely our judges, and I'm sure some of them will tell you they really don't have an affiliation with us other than doing the show today. So, guys, I know Mel's work. I've obviously seen the video. There's lots of good there. I guess as we get to wrap up the categories here, are there big takeaways in terms of the wildcards, final things that you'd say that people should be trying to do to make their videos better that you saw maybe in Mel's or one of the other videos?
Well, I was just going to say, obviously that last winner there, I said that guy seems like a nice guy. He did a personal introduction. His technique of having himself in the bottom with the screen like that, it was so overwhelming. Of all the videos, that was by far my favorite. And I was thinking, I want to figure out how to do that. That's something I want to learn how to do. His lighting and sound were also perfect. Actually, I didn't have any bad points about that video. So if I could do a video as good as him, a screencast that good after seeing this, that would be a good goal for me.
Well, remind me, Steve. I'll make an introduction if you want to have Mel teach you a thing or two. I'm sure he'd be happy to do that. So, any other comments here? We do need to get moving on. We're getting close to our time here.
This comes across as very honest. I mean, it's I think Scott said earlier. You just be honest. Be honest with what you have to say. And the guy in this video actually had some critical things to say about TechSmith products.
You sure did.
It's kind of, it's a good video. It's a really good video, which is what we're voting on. So there you go.
Absolutely.
But yeah. I mean, I like I like seeing people use video to share an opinion that is well supported, and he did a great job with this one.
Yeah, absolutely. And I to Rushton, to your point, I think it's interesting, especially as obviously it's talking about TechSmith. That's the company I work for and represent. But there's something really refreshing about having that honesty backed up by, it's not just a rant or a troll on the internet. It's someone who's, they're making valid points. And I know as an organization, that makes it so much easier for us to respond to that than just, I don't like it. All right, well, we're getting close in time, so we want to end here pretty quickly, so we've got one more category. That was our Best in Show. Before I announce the winner here, I want to say we had over 6,000 votes this time. That's way up from last year. Now, we know there's some questions out there. We saw it on the blog, hey, Poll Daddy is not maybe the greatest mechanism in the world. We're aware of these kind of limitations, and we made some conscious decisions about what we were going to do and what we want to try to change for the future. But with what we've got, we know that some people thought, hey, this is just really a personality contest. It's not a actual the best one. And that's fair. Those are fair criticisms. I want to acknowledge those for anyone that's watching. But we do what we do. We get what we get this time, and we'll look at how we can make it better for future years. So it's not it's less about who you know and how many people you know, and more about maybe the overall quality. But nonetheless, we've got it here. So we hear there's a great story about this one. So your winner of the camera and lots of other goodies is, and again, I'm going to start asking for pronunciation on some of these. Vesone Dean, and it's what is SignUp? Vesone had a lot of votes, and we hear there's lots of friends who were chiming in and helping out. And there was some good conversation. We won't speak to the quality because that's obviously not what happened during the vote, but we sure appreciate everyone that did go out and vote and everyone that spread the word about the ScreenChamp Awards. We want to thank our guests, our judges. Thank you guys. We know it was some extra time going through those videos. Appreciate your guys' opinions, and hopefully everyone watching has been able to take away some really good things. So Steve Garfield from out in Boston, Massachusetts, thank you very much, Steve. Scott Skibell from out in Kansas City in the middle, so we actually covered the span of the U.S. Thanks, Scott. It was good seeing you again. And Rushton, all the way from Hurley, all the way from California. Go and check these guys out on the internet. Go, I'm sure they're out on social networks and other places. I know I see Steve's stuff on Twitter, on Google+. So go check these guys out. You can learn a lot from them. Thank you again for being with us today. And remember, if you want to win one of these awesome t-shirts, if you're a viewer, theforge@techsmith.com. Email us. I resolve to you, ... and tell us what you're going to resolve to do in 2013. Congratulations to all of our ScreenChamp winners. We're going to do this again next year, but it's going to be a much longer period than this time. We tried changing some dates to get it before the holidays, but we want to thank everyone that helped out with our show, our kind of judges who helped whittle it down so our final judges didn't have to go through 153 different categories. Daniel Keith for making us such a beautiful sign, and all of you for watching The Forge. We hope you have a happy holidays. And we'll see you next year with our special guest, Dan Rome, author of Back of the Napkin and blah, blah, blah. We can't wait for that. That's super exciting. So for now, till then.